To the Town Council regular meeting. Today is October 16th, 7 p.m., Council Chambers. Our prayer today will be by Councilor Santinella.
I'd like to ask for a moment of silence tonight for all of the innocent people whose lives have been impacted by the war in Israel, and that we pray for a moment for the American hostages in Gaza, that they be returned safely to their loved ones. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sheila, roll call, please.
Councilor Santinella,
Here.
Councilor Ungary,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sakala,
Here.
Mayor Crisati,
Here.
Councilor Despard is absent, Councilor Finger,
Here.
Councilor Hopkins is absent, Councilor Ludwig,
Here.
Councilor Mangini,
Here.
Councilor Nelson,
Here.
Councilor Pisner.
Here.
That's 9 members present, 2 absent.
Fire evacuation announcement. In the event of a fire, there are exits in the back of the chambers, and to my left, audience is right. Please go down the stairs and into the parking lot. Next, minutes of preceding meetings. Do I have a motion to accept the special meeting minutes from October 2nd, 2023?
So moved.
Councilor
Second.
Mangini, and second by Councilor Nelson. All in favor? Doug?
Yes. Sorry, I gotta get this thing going. My bad.
All right, very good. 9 in favor, 9-0. Next, do I have a motion to accept the regular meeting of October 2nd, 2023?
So moved.
Councilor Nelson and second by Councilor Mangini. All in favor? Unanimous, 9-0. There are no special guests. We will move to public communications. Once again, I will caution members of the public to observe decorum when addressing the council. It's one thing that I've been stating for quite some time now. We don't engage with you while you come up, but we'll answer questions maybe during councilor communications or through the town manager. At this point, not really interested in having any segment of our agenda being politicized due to elections right around the corner. And once again, I will reserve the right to close public communications if that does occur. And you'll have 5 minutes to address the council. Please stay away from any personal attacks that you might have against somebody or any personnel matters. And remember, this is really not a forum to air any grievances against town employees or us at this point in time. Please state your name and address for the record when you come up. Mr. Young.
George Young, 8 Holly Lane. Before I start, I would like to say that if I lived on Francis Avenue, I would also want immediate action to restore the no parking signs with a tow violation of consequence. It could be a period of 12 months, renewable annually. It is time for the council to solve this problem and get back to running the town. In response to my comments on August 21st, 2023, paragraph 3, John Wilcox, the finance director, indicated that the WPCA adopted the expiring fiscal year 23 rate, which I agree with. However, the attachment A of the sewer service fee schedule for 23-24 shows that significant users would be charged $6.27 per gallons of usage. I believe it should read $5.39 for 1,000 gallons, which would agree with the prior year rates. After you calculated the new rates based on the approved budget, the council decided to use the prior year rates rather than increase them to pay for the needed services, resulting in an $800,000 removal of expenses from the revised WPC budget. Was this done because it was an election year for many and let the next council deal with it? The policy of not supporting the proper rates has continued for years, and that is one of the reasons why the WPC, I feel, is in such terrible shape. When the town turned over the plant and its structures, it gave the WPC an almost impossible task to recover from without substantially burdening the water users in town. Many residents felt that the town neglected the whole WPC infrastructure for years and put this area up to fail. In response to my paragraphs 5 and 6, your response confirmed my thoughts on the under-budgeting of the whole $36 million referendum. The referendum should have been closer to $50 million. It was known in the beginning that there was also needed to be approximately $4.3 million to fix the gravity thickeners, which was not in the referendum. You have indicated that the revised estimated cost of the facility was $31,357,000. I presume that was compared to the $27.3 million that was the other part of the $36 million referendum. The actual cost was approximately $32,587,000. That is a cost overrun of $1.3 million from the revised budget. Then there was another $2.1 million spent on sewage collection infrastructure projects, and now we are left with only $1.3 million for the pump stations. Now we have utilized $3.5 million from the ARPA funds towards the pump stations, which covers some of the WPCA's poor management of this whole project. Within the $36 million referendum, there was supposed to be $8.7 million for the pump stations, 16 of them. As the finance director stated, we will now have years of funding for these pump stations due to our referendum requirements. This reminds me of the prior council's efforts to fix roofs after years of neglect. I just hope that when we flush our toilets, it continues outward toward the plant. As a side note, did the town qualify for the Eversource grant money for the upgrading to the premium efficient motors and replacement of outdated lighting? Is that money going towards the WPCF to help fund the shortage, and if so, how much, if known? In regards to your response to my paragraph 7, you indicated that the 2% Clean Water Fund loan is similar to a construction loan that needs to be closed and rolled into a normal installment loan. I feel that we were led to believe it was a 2% low-interest loan. In response, I cited the loan cost at 2% based on the schedule provided by the prior town manager's report in 2019, which made no mention of what you have described. I have no doubt you are correct, but I do feel that we were misled when both loans were shown to be 2% for 10 years in the sample, which is much less than the 3.24% you have informed me of. In the WPC meeting on January 11, 2017, there was a statement in Table 2 discussion that for the pump stations upgrades, that the town can apply for CWF funds up to $4 million per municipality per year at a 2% loan. Have we utilized this option if it's still available? What you have said now, I believe that either the prior town manager or someone did not understand how long the 2% loan would last, or the public was deceived into believing it was for 20 years. Thank you for clarifying the interest rate structure and how big of a burden this will be annually, as the interest rates have recently soared. In the transfer of $390,000 to the general fund, there was no way I knew it was for the town's administrative and other services provided to the WPC. That cost has been the same forever, so as in any standard cost system, we both agree that it's time for it to be reviewed. Since the finance department creates this number, I hope the WPCA reviews it carefully. It does not just accept it without a clear understanding of the source of these amounts. After all the comments I've made about the WPC and funding, I believe there's no more of a message that I can deliver. So thanks for listening. Thank you, John, for responding. That's it.
5 minutes on the
Thank
dot.
you.
Did
Thank you,
find that
George.
out?
Of course.
Robert Bukowski, 21 Francis Avenue. Good evening, old friends. I'm here to discuss Jimmy's Pub and Francis Avenue again. So, it looks like the Francis Avenue issue is being buried in committee in the true spirit of Politics 101. Deny, deflect, and delay. Good job. I look forward to eventual recommendations of the Public Safety Committee. Eventual recommendations. That's a quote by Ellen. Perhaps you should also forward this issue to the Inland Wetlands Committee to address the urination problem. But in the meantime, while we wait, I'd like to offer another solution. It's not as good as resident parking only with towing, but it's not bad. That solution is police presence on Francis Avenue. Not a police patrol, but actual police presence. About 6 hours per night, Fridays and Saturdays, at a cost of about $50,000 per year. When a bar patron parks on Francis Avenue, the cop would immediately pull up behind them and tell them to move. It's as simple as that. You would, of course, have to put back the no parking signs. We can do that right now. There's no need for a committee. So how do we finance this, and how do we staff the police department, which is working very efficiently but doesn't really have too much extra manpower? I'd like to recommend the implementation of a new program to finance this, which I refer to as Fire a Teacher, Hire a Cop. If that sounds a little harsh to some, you could also say retire a teacher, hire a cop. That way the same objective could be achieved without the layoffs. Let me explain the math pretty quickly. There's 450 kids in town, 4,500 kids in the Enfield school system. There's 12 kids per teacher. Can you believe that? It used to be 30. I turned out all right. But there's 12 kids per teacher, and the average entry-level salary with benefits is, my estimate, about $100,000 a year. So if you increase the student-teacher ratio by just 12 students per teacher up to 13 students per teacher, just one, you could reduce the teaching staff by 30 teachers. That's $3 million a year savings. A greater savings if you retired 30 older teachers. That's more than enough money to put cops on Francis Avenue, to put additional police in District 2, Enfield's murder district, to put a cop in Brainerd Park to reduce drug usage, and to put cops or more cops in JFK and Enfield High School, which are prone to fights and violence. We might also be able to fund the expansion of our police department if state funding falls through. And we can do all of that by just increasing class size by 1 student per teacher. And I might add, even if we do all that, our math scores will remain the same. We'll still be in the bottom 50% statewide, which is terrible. But let's start with Francis Avenue, and let's do it now. The murder district and everything else can wait. Now, one additional point I'd like to make, not related to funding. The town council has seen countless videos regarding bad behavior, urination, etc. on Francis Avenue. Keep in mind, these videos also clearly show drunkenness. Sober people just do not behave in this manner. You have seen these videos, you have neglected them, you have avoided the issue. This is gross irresponsibility on the part of the town council. You know these people are drunk, you've seen them get into their cars and drive away. When one of these drunks gets into an accident on Enfield Street, the lawyers will want to see these videos too. Why don't you stop this problem before something like that occurs? Stop it today. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to approach the council?
Jim Nasuda, 44 Play Road. Hearing a lot of conversation about power to the new band shell really got me really interested in the matter. So I know that there's on the agenda tonight, I have a couple questions as it relates to item B under unfinished business. The Higgins Park Value Engineering proposal. My first question is, does this proposal include power to the band shell? And I'm talking the value engineering proposal. Number two, was this value engineering proposal offered to all 4 bidders who bid it on August 10th? Number three, were all the rules followed regarding public bids by changing the scope of work and asking for a revised proposal after the bid date with no contract award in place? Just want to make sure that all the rules are being followed when it comes to the value engineering proposal. In closing, as far as power to the band shell, this could be achieved by connecting power from an underground box on the north side of the town access road. There is currently power in the box there, which comes out of the 400 amp outside service. There's a 200 amp circuit there that could be tapped off of that would be sufficient enough to feed the 100 amp panel that was on the documents on the bid, on the original bid. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else? Yep.
My name's Tom Walsh, Roseanne Street, Enfield. I came here tonight, I read the thing about our $10 million shortfall on the police complex. And while I was sitting back there, I was thinking, maybe we ought to just only make a $35 million train station up there and take 10 of that $45 million they're going to spend on a place that's just going to be covered in graffiti, and they probably won't get enough riders to cover the price of fuel on the trains out of that area. But I stopped coming here a long time ago because people, unless you're agreeing with the council, they don't really listen. I've watched you guys, not you guys in particular, but I watched the council while people are talking, talk amongst themselves, not pay attention. After they talk and they bring up a whole room of people who complain about something, and then people are worried about, oh, this one's got a meeting here and this school's got this going on, and nobody says anything about it, so I stopped coming. But I don't know. I retired this year, and I'm looking at this town, and we're building warehouses and solar farms. This used to be a nice town. This form of government is what's ruined this town. All right, having a council with 11 people voted in by a popularity contest. We have 11 people, and I'm not picking out anybody in particular, but we don't even know if you guys are qualified to balance your checkbook. But yet you're running, you're operating you're overseeing millions of dollar budgets. And some of the decisions you guys made, correct me if I'm wrong, but that Win Stanley monstrosity built across from the old high school there, Fermi, you guys gave them a tax break after they built the building? They were already there. And we give them a tax break? I mean, if I build a new house, you give me a tax break after I build it? Anyways, I just came because what I'm seeing going on now, we're going to have another big warehouse right as you enter Enfield on Route 5 now, this Win Stanley guy. We're putting up solar farms, and I heard there's going to be one over by Abbey Road now, too. So 10 years from now, what's this town going to look like? Low-income housing, solar farms, and warehouses. Our infrastructure won't support truck traffic. I used to drive trucks, okay? This infrastructure in this town will not support this kind of traffic. I mean, you already seen it over there by Moody Road. And they say that the trucks go out a certain way. I've been over there in Hazardville, and trucks are coming out in every direction. So maybe you guys ought to think a little harder before you do these things. And as far as the police, I voted for the police thing when you had the second referendum. And I think we should have a bigger police department. Maybe we ought to put it in Fermi High School instead of using it for storage. And as far as the ambulances, they're complaining, oh, the ambulances are going to place. Put one in each fire department. And another thing, too, if you ain't got room in the police department, put a cop in every school. Have an office in every school for the cops. Use them as a satellite. Then you kill two birds with one stone. You got cops in and out of there all day long, so the idiots that do stupid shit to kids, they ain't going to know if there's cops there or not, so maybe they stay away from our schools. You know, now maybe your police department wouldn't be as crowded. It gives the cops a quiet place to go, maybe hang out, do the paperwork. Got a place to jump off from, closer to our neighborhoods, instead of having to shoot from the middle of town. I don't know. Like I said, I've been watching what you guys are doing here. And, this town, most of the kids I know, and you know them too, Mr. Society, they live in Summers. They've moved to Suffield. Hell, our old mayor moved to Summers. So that's about all I got to say. I think you guys should think a little more. I think this police project should stop right now. Instead of taking $2.9 million and use it to decide on the phases of how we're going to phase this in now, maybe we ought to just wait. Just put that $2.9 million somewhere and just sit on it. And one other thing, to the guys about the WPC, he's right. That is mismanaged. I used to know people that work there. And if you all guys remember, back in the day, when they first put the sewer systems in, they told the residents of this town that hookup was the only price you were ever going to pay for the sewers. Now I pay a tax every time I flush my toilet. So, and it's because of mismanagement. Again, the way this town is run. No offense to you guys, but when you're bringing in 11 people every 2 years or whatever it is, with all these ideas, oh, that's another thing. I bounce around a little bit. So you guys do know that when you're put in office, you're not put in there for your ideas or how you feel about things. You're put in there to do what the majority of your constituents ask you to do. So the reason I bring this up is the marijuana thing caught my eye when we were getting another pot store over there on Hazard Avenue. So one of our senators decided that when they were having the, all right, whatever.
Well, the 5 minutes are up, Tom.
We can come up
Okay,
again,
you
though, right?
can come back.
You can tell them.
Okay, anybody else that wants to come forward? Yeah.
Tom Walsh, Roseanne Street. You kind of threw me out. Oh, I remember when they were gonna, they were trying to legalize marijuana, which I never thought I'd see in my lifetime here. But one of our senators, said that, it said right in the paper that his constituents, the majority of his constituents wanted it, but he didn't feel it was a good thing, so he wouldn't vote for it. Who the hell cares what his feelings are? His majority of constituents that put him in office wanted them to vote for it. Same thing with here. I don't know if it was this council or another council, but somebody felt that they talked it over with their spouse and they didn't think it was a good idea. Again, not everybody's looking for you guys as ideas. If your constituents, the majority of your constituents tell you they want something, that's what they want. That's what you were put here for. Not for you to decide what's good for us. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Tom. Is there anybody else that would like to approach the council? Okay, public communications are over. Councilor communications, Councilor Mangini.
Thank you. I just have a couple of comments. First, I want to address the Francis Avenue issue. Thank you to our town manager for promptly and accurately responding to one or a couple of the constituents' concerns that public safety is going to continue to work on this issue. One conversation I did have with a resident of that area came forward with a thought. It's just a thought that perhaps, and I'm not sure if legally we can do this, but maybe making part of that area one-way streets from Thursday through Sunday for certain hours. I don't know if that's a possibility, but that might help curb some of the issue that's going on, because certainly the residents of that area are entitled to quiet, times in their life. It's their home. They're entitled to that. The other comment I want to make along the same lines, I'm terribly distressed and offended by derogatory comments against our teachers. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I know firsthand, because I'm in the school, one of the schools, as a tutor, and these teachers, elementary school teachers, I know firsthand, have averaged between 18 and 20 students, and to teach, to monitor behavior, to do their jobs is difficult. And to fire a teacher, that's insulting as all get out. I certainly would never even consider such a move and swap out a teacher for a cop. What kind of thinking is that? That makes no sense. But aside from that, the fact of the matter is we value our teachers in our town. We don't give them enough credit. We don't give them enough money. And they're doing the best they can with what they've got. And I want to make that very clear to the residents of this town that we need to all be very proud of our teachers. So, having said that, I have a couple of very positive announcements. The Daughters of the American Revolution every year, DAR, Penelope Abbey chapter, does give American History Teacher Award. This year, the award is going to a 5th grade elementary school teacher chosen by the administration, and her name is Megan Lindeland from Eli Whitney School. And I want to share that with the community, and we should all applaud and respect and congratulate Megan for being recognized by her administration. We also honor a Veteran of the Year. This year's veteran is Tony Torres. And again, we should also honor and respect Tony. He's done tremendous work, with the military, with the service he's given. And as a DAR member, I'm very proud that we're going to have the ceremony December 7th, I believe it is. And I will bring more details as we firm them up. But again, we have a lot of members of our community that deserve to be recognized and honored. And I would like to think that we all can show kindness like we teach our children, and let's be positive with our efforts going forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Nelson.
Okay, I got a few things to go over. First, Sunday, at the new brewery in District 1, the Red Rooster, the girls' soccer U10 is holding a fundraiser there, and it'd be nice if people could stop by, check out the new brewery, and show their support for them. Next, a pretty big issue we are facing is the ECDC. I know they've been doing the best they can. I believe it's a shortage of staff that we're dealing with, and they've been forced to reduce their hours. And that's pretty hard for working parents to tell their boss that, well, I don't have daycare, I got to reduce my offers. It's a ripple effect. So I'm not sure there's much we're going to do about it tonight, but I think that should be one of the prime issues on the next agenda for whoever's left here, because we have to address this as a community. This is for working families, and the ECDC is one of the best programs this town has. So if I'm here, I'd like to address that with you guys and see if we can't come up with a solution. Next, a couple things. I have a military family in District 1, and one is retired military, one is a current military member. Last year, and military members get one vehicle tax exempt in the town of Enfield. Any active military person, just go to the assessor, you should get it. So I thought. Last year, this couple received their tax exemption, and everything went great. This year, they were denied. He said, I don't like the vehicle, it's not a motor vehicle. Right on the tax, and I have the paperwork, right on their tax slip from the state of Connecticut, it says motor vehicle. And it was exempted last year. So how is it this year the assessor's not accepting it? This is a problem, and we need to address it, because these are active military families that have worked for this, they've earned it, and they deserve it. And to be put through this is just par for the course what we're going through in this town with our department. And I will hand this to you, Ellen, through Bob, to Ellen after the meeting, but I would like this addressed immediately because they would like to rectify this so they can pay their taxes and be done with this and move on. But to approve it last year and then tell them, no, not this year, we're not doing it, pick a cheaper car. That's what they were told. And now on to the same subject, but moving on. Last meeting, you guys passed a few recommendations from the independent report that the assessor should be following. And just so you know, some of you do, some of you don't. 3 days later, I'm working in my building on the 3rd floor, and guess who I got a surprise visit from? Because I have an open building permit. No phone call, no notice, no nothing, and the grand list closes October 1st. So why is he in my building October 3rd? That makes no sense. The permit's not closed out. The building has no sheetrock in it, no bathrooms in it, no kitchens. So when I get my tax bill, I hope it's cut in half, because the building's half of what it was when I started. But so the resolutions that you think you're passing, they mean nothing, because his exact words to me were, you can pass any resolution you want. I'm not controlled by the town council. I'm controlled by state statute. And he told the town manager the same thing. So this isn't just me. It gets better. 2 days later, I'm working at another property. Closed, doors are shut, and all of a sudden, somebody comes walking in. I said, excuse me, they're closed, I can't let you in. And no, I want to talk to somebody, and guess it's the town assessor again. And I asked him, did you make an appointment? I don't have to make appointments. Then I said, you got to leave the premises. I'm not answering questions. So what we think we're doing by making these recommendations to a man that doesn't have to follow them is a waste of time, and it's misleading the public to make them think that we're actually doing something about this, because we're not. And by sitting him down with the BAA and trying to come up with an agreement that everybody can deal with. They may not like it, but maybe the assessor will listen and work with us and the BAA so we can move forward as a community. But this is firsthand. My guy who works for me is like, is this guy following you? What's going on? It makes no sense. Me, of all people, open building permits. They're not closed. He doesn't have a right to really be there. So you have on the agenda another recommendation you're going to do. If he won't make appointments that you tell him to make, what makes you think he's going to follow your 490 recommendations? I think it's a waste of time. And again, I ask you to reconsider having a committee formed with the 2 liaisons, the BAA chairman, and the assessor to discuss these issues, because we can't force him to do anything. We don't control him. Francis Avenue, Cindy, I agree with you. And I was one of the only ones who responded back. It's absurd to even think about firing a teacher to hire a police officer. First of all, it's a private business. The taxpayers shouldn't be funding that anyways. Higgins Park. I've had conversations with Mr. Nasuda about this. He showed me what he's talking about. One thing he didn't do that I think he should do is, this is what he does for a living. That's his job. He's done it for 35, 40 years. Very good friends with ex-council member Max Sellen, who agrees with everything that he said. So at that point, with the new information, if we could save $35,000 running power to the band shell, I think maybe it's worth sitting down or having the DPW subcommittee invite him in to discuss this, because $40,000 goes a long ways. Mr. Walsh, I agree with what you said. We're not here for us. We're here for you. And I said it weeks ago. I posted it, and that's a fact. My opinion doesn't matter. What matters is yours. Win Stanley and the warehouses and stuff like that, we can't be a stagnant community, because otherwise, how do we fund the increases that the unions force on us? The higher cost of utilities that you face, the town of Enfield faces them too. I pay the same tax increases you pay. I look at development to try to help offset those costs. That's my approach on it. Win Stanley did buy a property on Route 5, but it's in an industrial park. It's right off of 2 exits. It's a lot better place than North Maple, where they built it in somebody's backyard. And yes, I was part of it. Unfortunately, that was the town's regulations. And then last, I want to wish all of you good luck. And may I, or maybe not, I'll see you in a week or two. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Ludwig.
Through the mayor to the town manager. Mr. Young sent me some information. It's funny, I usually remember everything on a referendum. It's unclear. I was pretty sure, I know that the DEP was going to shut down the main building because it was in, that we were in violation. I think it's about 10 years ago, roughly. And so we had to to get the loan to make the improvements. It's not clear if the I don't remember the pump stations being included, but he sent me some information. I have to admit, it's unclear. And I know it was 36 million. And so I don't know if we have any, I don't put you in a spot, but maybe we can do some research, because it is a fair question. And if you read the resolution, which was on the ballot, again, maybe that's one of the things whatever we put in a ballot, we got to be even tighter. I know we go to bond council, but the resolution is a bit unclear if you don't remember, if you weren't exactly a part of that conversation 10 years ago. So just if we could research that, because I agree, I think it's a gray area. I know the 36 million was for the main building. So I'm just curious to make sure that was the understanding of what we put out, if we could. I know you're not gonna have an answer now, but if we could. Because I did read it, and I have to admit, it's unclear. Thank you, I appreciate it. And the second thing, again, thank you through the mayor to the town manager to DPW, again, for having a meeting on the 18th, which is Wednesday night, for the residents of Meadowlark, Broadbrook, Yale, Hillier, Trinity, and Star, and if I miss, and then Pearl Street Extension, here at 7 o'clock before the construction starts. It's a public information meeting. I know I've asked, so I appreciate you guys setting it up. And again, the DPW folks, thank you. And anyone who lives in that area, come to the meeting and voice your questions up front before any construction, which I don't think starts till next spring, right? Next spring starts, so thank you. Again, 18th, this Wednesday, Town Council Chambers, 7 o'clock. Thank you.
Councilor Santinella.
Yep, thank you. First of all, Councilor Despard, regards to not being able to be here for his last meeting, and he asked me to just pass along. He has pneumonia and he has COVID, and he was not able to even Zoom in tonight. So we did want to wish everybody well. He also wanted to put out a reminder that he has his District 3 office hours on October 25th at Fermi between 5:30 and 7, which takes place in the chorus room. I also wanted to make people aware that on Wednesday, October 25th, from 5 to 8 p.m., you got this in your folder earlier, there is a fundraiser benefit for firefighters of Enfield Local 3059. They are raising money to be able to do body scans to scan for early signs of job-related cancers. And their hope is that they would be able to raise enough money over time to be able to provide that kind of benefit to all of their members. Apparently, each of these scans cost around $300 per person, so they have some work to do, but they would appreciate the support of the community and the council. I do want to address some things Mr. Walsh said, because we've never met, but a lot of what you said I agree with. But one thing that has been happening, we've been talking a lot about the train station and the train, and the community, I think, feels like it's not necessarily the best investment here. Last Thursday, I took the train, and I don't know when anybody has taken the train from Windsor Locks to just about anywhere. But I went to dinner in New Haven. It was Thursday afternoon, got on the train, packed. Sat next to a guy who was from West Hartford, got on the train, spent the day at the casino. He told me all about his winnings and losings and all of that. That experience made me feel like this is a really good thing for our area. And so I would encourage people who think that the train is not bringing anything to Thompsonville or to Enfield, could just go take the train. Go down, get off at State Street, walk a couple blocks, have pizza at Sally's, best pizza in the world, and get back on the train and come home. So I really we keep hearing people poo-pooing that idea, but if you have the experience, you realize that there's really something there and some benefit to the community. That's all. I'll leave the other things.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to hop in with a couple of comments. Then I'll get to Councilor Finger in a minute. Okay. Before I talk a little about some of the issues that some of you in the audience have brought up, I just want to say that this past weekend, for everybody that was involved with the Allied community fundraiser and the fun day and the fun walk that we had, thank you to everybody that donated to this event here on the town green. Many of you here on the council made donations, and I thank you greatly for that. And special shout out to Mike Vignone, who heads up the athletic program for Allied Rehabilitation. I can just going to state one comment to everybody. If you want a different perspective on life, hang around with a child with disabilities. It'll change your perspective quite a bit. So sometimes I, very empathetic to some of the statements that I hear from residents. Just think about everything that's going on. First of all, on another positive note, our senior center, believe it or not, had over 5,400 visitors go to it last month. It's quite a bit. Over 5,000 people were in and out of that building. That's quite a bit. It's very impressive. We have a great facility. A lot of people use it. And I want to just say congratulations to Nancy Dara, the program coordinator. She's going to be retiring, and we wish her all the best. So I just wanted to give her a quick shout out. Mr. Walsh, thanks for your comments. There were a couple of comments that you did make, about the EMS being in a fire department. I think it's a great idea. Okay, and I think that's something that, as time goes on, hopefully we can take a look at it in regard to the safety complex that we have going on with the police and EMS. We will get that figured out. The other thing I just want to bring to your attention is you mentioned that the annex is a storage ground. Well, the annex is not a storage ground. The annex is our recreation department. It also houses adult education, and it also houses the alternative high school. So if you would like to come and visit me or make an appointment with me to take a look at the annex and how it's utilized, you will be quite surprised that that building is utilized. Plus, it's also a police training ground, too. Okay, so I just wanted to just inform you a little about that. Mr. Nasuda, being on the Public Works Safety Subcommittee, I think we should have you in. I'm sure Councilor Ludwig would entertain that. Same with Mr. Despard, to discuss the value engineering proposal. And if there's ways that we could save money for the hookup to the band shell, I would like to discuss that. So if we could, we'll set something up soon in regard to that. So I just wanted to address that. George, thank you for all your information that you had. Thanks for you said you needed an extra minute, but man, you were right there on the dot, 5 minutes. But thank you, and thank you for writing up what you have so that we can take a look at that and analyzing it. All right. I usually don't respond, but Mr. Bukowski, I don't mind the statements that you make. That's your choice, what comes out of your mouth. Don't agree with you, probably 95% of the time. I mean, you probably don't agree with me, but that's okay. But we've had good conversation before, and that's good. With our education, the ratio is not 1 to 12. There might be some classes that might have that ratio because they have to have that particular ratio. But the majority of the classes have over 20 students in it. And you probably went to school where you had 30 and you said you turned out all right. Well, in a previous meeting, you said that you didn't do so well in English with your writing skills. You made a comment once. Okay. All right. I don't forget what you said, but I just wanted to just throw it out there. We have an education system that we should be very proud of. And then when you start throwing in your little innuendos, your credibility for what you want to do for your Francis Avenue goes right down the toilet. Because I know, because I listen, I empathize. The Public Safety Committee will come up with recommendations. We will kind of work something, and we will move forward with it. The ECDC, the staffing is a problem, and you have to have ratios. And if those ratios are not met, we lose your state funding, unfortunately, and things sometimes have to get done. But when we're losing people because of staffing and that we're not, even though we bumped up the pay, we're still not comparable to what other towns are doing. So, yes, we do have to look at that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and there's just one other thing I just want to mention about, and I've been getting some phone calls, and this is in regard to, roads, with the cracks. And I know our crack seal program starts, I think, next month, But I did receive some calls from Long Hollow. So if they're not on the list, if we could take a look to see if they are on that list for the crack seal program that's going to be starting next month, that would be awesome. But other than that, I want to thank everybody that came out and stated what you stated, because there are things there that I agree with you, and we can move forward and work together on certain things. So once again, thank you to everybody that's on this council. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't agree, but at the end of the day, we are all individuals here, and that's it. Councilor Finger, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to apologize while I'm on screen. I'm also quarantined with COVID, so I have to keep my water going down. through the mayor to the town manager, a couple things. One, I did ask about the differences or how the people on Powder Ridge got those signs for permanent parking for residents only. Hopefully you have an answer for me tonight, please. And the other thing is the chat thing here, this team meeting things. As this meeting's going on, our special meeting, a lot of counselors' faces were frozen. The words you can't hear, they're slurred. I noticed that one time when Councilor Despard was out and he was speaking in it, and I'm sure other people noticed it, that the words are not going through. And it's kind of disruptive because you can't really understand everything. I agree with Councilor Mangini and Councilor Nelson and Councilor and the mayor. We're not going to fire teachers. First of all, you have to have a reason to fire a teacher, and that's the wrong thing. The whole idea is to get this resolved within what we can do for you, for that street and for the business. You've already saw my replies. You know where I'm coming from. And, but I will not, never, ever support firing a teacher because you just can't do it. They're in the union. You got to have reasons for layoffs. My apologies working from home. Mr. Young, I was part of the WPC project years ago when I worked down there, and I will tell you that we had plant superintendents that had the money in the budget to repair things. They just turned it back to the town without repairing things, and there was a couple of them. I'm not going to mention their names because that's discrediting somebody who put a lot of years into this town, and it's not right. Sorry again. Wish I was there. And I just want to say to Mr. Nasuda, I hope you do get that meeting. I think you will. You are a very intelligent individual when it comes to that. You were on the building committee before, and this is what you do for a living. Through NDC, you are in that state process of being bidded on or putting bids in. And I just want to say to everybody that this is, the last meeting of the 2 years that we've been together. And myself, as everybody knows, along with other people, we've had some differences, and going from one side to the other made people very angry and upset. And it's a shame because the words "be kind" and "love one another" should always be part of that. And I do wish no harm to anybody. I wish everybody luck. If whatever happens, happens. And we'll see what happens next year. And especially to Mayor Bob. I know your family well, and you're right, absolutely right about working with children with disabilities. And I'm glad I can be part of that. And Councilor Sakala, I will be sending you the $20 for the basket. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay.
Sorry. I'll just squeeze in quick. Jim, thank you for that information. If it can help the town save some money, I certainly appreciate that. Tom, I appreciate your comments and coming and speaking out. We're here to listen to you. And I want to wish everybody best wishes on the council.
Okay, thank you. Councilor communications are over. Next, town manager report and communications. Thanks.
Okay, a couple of meetings ago, I was asked to do an overview on some of the housing issues that you've been dealing with. And I thought, now that we have a UConn student who's getting his master's in public policy in the office, we're able to kind of work through some of these policy issues that we haven't had time for. So we looked at all of our data, and I asked Brendan to put something together that I thought would be interesting in just a quick overview. So there's only 4 or 5 slides, but I think it's especially important for us to have a sense of what all of these terms mean in terms of the statutory responsibilities that the state is putting on you, what the responsibilities of our local zoning ordinances are, especially in light of the fact that we have the impact residential proposed facility going into the Strand-Lamagna. We have the Felician Sisters project coming back on for the 45 units that they're looking to do at the St. Felix House. And we also are seeing the long-awaited Enfield Manor rehab, which will have an expansion of a few units as well. So basically, I wanted to give you an overview of the, hold on, I can't see what I'm doing. I wanted to give you a overview of where we are. I found these statistics very interesting in that 26% are burdened by the cost of housing in our community. Renters are at 47%. Renters' housing costs as percent of income, 24%. And here's the housing wage that's now being calculated to say how much people have to earn in order to afford a 2-bedroom rental home without paying more than 30% of their income on housing. It's also important to note that we are in the Hartford MLA, which means that we have higher expectations. And here's what Enfield looks like right now. In the percentage of households that we would consider low income based on the federal standards and those thresholds, 16% of them are disabled, 37% are seniors living on fixed incomes, 31% of them are in the workforce, and then there's the single caregivers, there's school, these are students that don't usually have higher incomes, and then there's an other percentage. Again, in Enfield, here's how we stack up with everybody else. And these are some of the things that they tracked. So 29% of householders are living alone in Enfield, and it does track pretty quickly along the same lines in Hartford County and in Connecticut. The households where there's someone older than 60, we're just a couple ticks above that at 43%. And the households with someone under 18, again, the other direction, we have just a couple percentage points off the state average. This is specific to the impact residential Strand-Lamagna, the unit count, and the income mix. So I want you to see 30%, what 30% of the income of the AMI, this is what that income is, $24,810. 2 of those units are at that level. The rent would be this. Then there's 1-bedroom apartments, and this is the same level at 30%. You bump up to 50% of the AMI, but your income limit is still here. And the next slide's going to show you who some of these people are in the community. There's 11 of those units. So if you're earning $41,000, you can most likely rent a 1-bedroom apartment with 1 bathroom. If you're at 60%, your income is $49,620, and there are 4 of those units, and the rent is going to be $1,329. And then we have the market rate, where you could be of any income, and there's 3 of those units, roughly in the $1,700 range for rent. Going back to the 2-bedroom apartments, if we go back to 30%, your income is $28,350, and there's going to be 7 of those units, and then we go to $47,000 and $56,000. And then another market rate for the 2 bedrooms, there's 11 units. So that's kind of the mix. So the misnomer here occurs when we think about low income is low income in terms of something that people find to be desirable or non-working. So here's some of the profiles of the potential renters, specifically at Strand-Lamagna, and who these people are in our community. The bank tellers, they're making $42,000 as an entry level. Retail sales associates are averaging $32,000. A restaurant worker, non-chef, $38,000. Bus drivers are making $49,000, and a Dunkin' Donuts employee, who's a store employee working 40 hours, is about $35,000. This is the interesting one. An entry-level salary for a Thompsonville firefighter is $40,000. And here's some of our staffing, based on the conversation we had a little earlier. Here's some of the staffing salaries for our ECDC. The full-time teachers, the teachers' aides that are full-time, the teachers' aides that are part of the course of the year at $15 an hour, set to go up in January. So when you look at this, you can start to see why the Strand-Lamagna housing is going to be attractive to a wide range of our population. And included in your packets, just so that all of you could have it as a reference, I included the Enfield Affordable and Fair Housing Plan that was adopted in May. And basically, the most important statement that appears on page 3 is right here. Recent changes in the state zoning laws, Public Act 21-29, further require that zoning affirmatively forward fair housing. This means that Enfield must plan for housing and zone for housing and affordable housing in ways that are proactive and do not discriminate. So I'm sure our town attorney can go through and talk to you about a lot of the legal pieces of that. But really, that's just a quick overview, and I feel strongly that that housing and affordable plan that is in your folders is something that you should reference, understand, and talk to any of your constituents about too, because it's something that I think is going to resonate in the community. In terms of some of the things that were talked about earlier, I did want to thank Mr. Natsuda because he and our Public Works Director did have a very substantive conversation today about the handhold issue and the power. And so our electrician, who is not in today, is going to look at that tomorrow, and hopefully that will have a very positive impact on those Higgins Park figures. I wanted to just talk a minute about the tax break for 113 North Maple Street. I know all of you know this, but for the public, it's important to know that that tax abatement was actually a pass-through that went to Agrimark and Eppendorf, and that was part of their lease agreements, and that's what they counted on when they were doing their build-out and how they were going to finance their expansion there. It was not a tax break or an abatement to the Winstanley Enterprises. Speaking of them, it was alluded to earlier, they have purchased 1679 King Street. And for those of you who have been here, you do probably remember that that was fully permitted and approved through another developer in 2018. And since then, it has just sat there. I did speak with Mr. Winstanley today about his plans. And as Councilor Nelson alluded to, it is zoned industrial, fully permitted. But however, he is looking to potentially revise the plan and downsize it in terms of the density. There are certain pieces of it that he doesn't think fit with his business model. So I do think that a reduction in density is something that you will see. That would come before our land use boards. And he also did reference the north entrance that runs along the back of King Court, and he does not think that that is a good part of the plan. So I think that we'll see some very positive reactions there in terms of what I think he will do. I will follow up on some of the other things that have been talked about tonight, and I will get all of you answers on that within the next few days. We do have a secondary report from the Assistant Town Manager, so I will turn it over to him now.
Good evening. I have bridge duty tonight, so I want to update you on the progress of the South River Street Bridge. As you may recall, this is what the bridge looked like prior, maybe a year ago or so. Overgrown, the road did not even line up with the bridge. The bridge was structurally unsafe for heavy equipment, for fire trucks, for driving over it. And after years of litigation, various town managers, various town councils, we have now an updated bridge. Alex, if you could go to the next slide. Just another viewpoint. This is southbound. So here's the bridge today. As of Friday, they opened up one lane as they're working on the parapets or the sidewalls. They're doing the finishing touches on the cement walls on the side of the bridge, but at least it's open to vehicles. Refuse and recycling can start probably Tuesday, October 24th, and yard waste pickup will resume on the 27th. You will still expect heavy equipment and trucks during this road construction period. Emergency services, police, Thompsonville Fire, EMS, they've been informed that the bridge reopening and implementation of the alternative one-lane traffic pattern. We expect this bridge to be done, everything hopefully by December 1st of this year, weather permitting. We still have landscaping to do and full demobilization of all the heavy equipment there, but by and large, by December 1st, you will have a fully working bridge. And you can move, Alex, to a few more pictures. That's the northbound view. You can see how we had to get rid of a lot of the trees, but the bridge is coming along really nice. And thank goodness we haven't had any major issues with structure fire or something that we'd have to, navigate the tunnel and whatnot. So a lot of credit to this construction company. They really did yeoman's work in moving as seamlessly and as least impact to this neighborhood as possible. All right, that's my South River Street Bridge report. The next one I want to discuss is the Timber Footbridge that Councilor Nelson brought up in a few council meetings ago. Ellen and I went out and did visit it. We did see one of the repairs that was shoddy. They did fix that. You can see that new panel there. They also removed any loose screws, some of the cosmetic loose screws on the railing. But I'm told that this bridge is still sound by our Public Works uses it for their equipment when they bring their mowers across it or in the Bobcat in the wintertime. I last saw their structural engineers report, which was about 8 years ago. We're going to do another report, though. We have one bid that came out for a structural engineer. It came in at just north of $16,000. We have to get 2 more bids. But they're going to look at the integrity of that bridge, and then they're going to also look at the abutment and the foundation to see if it's better to just replace the bridge with a prefab cement bridge. We want to see what options are available, so it'll enhance the not only the structure but also the cosmetic likeness of the bridge too, because that bridge looks a little tired and weathered. So stay tuned for that once I get more information. But I at least wanted to get a report on where we are with the foot timber bridge. And that's all I have for a bridge report.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Tallberg?
There's nothing to report tonight, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilor Ludwig?
Sorry, the Mayor, Town Manager, those rents you were showing were from the presentation that the company did. Where is that application at this point? Do we know? Did they get approved, or the grant, or is it?
The grant application is due in January.
All right, so it's, without, not questioning you, but I find it hard to believe someone making 40 grand can afford almost $1,400 a month in rent. That doesn't sound affordable to me. That sounds outrageous, quite frankly. And that's what concerns me about this stuff. And I'm reading, this is why I was against this. I don't want to but again, this paragraph alone that was included in the presentation, this is what, and I'm going to read it because it bothers me. It bothered me at the time. Limited diversity in housing stock, over-reliance on single-family housing results in a housing stock that favors homeowner. Listen to this sentence. Results in a housing stock that favors home ownership. What a terrible thing that is. Higher income households, a larger large household size. This further results in housing stock that underdeserves 1- and 2-person household renters, households of lesser means. That said, compared to many other metropolitan Hartford communities, Enfield's single-family housing stock, again, key, is moderately priced and more affordable than other communities. How do you learn how to manage your budget? You own a single-family home and you rent and you take care of your property. That's what Enfield offers. Quite frankly, this used to be called the American Dream years ago. What we need to do, and when I'm reading this, if I'm lucky enough to still be here, we need to expand the first-time homeowners program. So again, they get more money so they can buy a property, not just in one section of town, all over town, and they can learn. They can come from Springfield, they can come from Hartford. We want everybody to come. But they can buy a piece of property, and if the state won't give us more money, Enfield should put more money into it. Because that's how we teach people. And then we also should expand it to multifamily housings so they can learn how to also, again, live in the property, which we know people who live in their property take care of their property. And they also learn some small business skills because they manage their expenses. I have to admit, I'm sorry, I don't want to, but man, this paragraph, it reminds me back when we went through this 6 months ago. Man, this paragraph, I can't believe is in public information. For me, what Enfield offers is the ability to go live anywhere in town and own your own property and take care of it. That's what separates Enfield, in my opinion, from every other municipality. Forget about Hartford and the Connecticut area and in West Springfield for that matter. So for me, again, when we get to this, if I'm still here, I'm going to have some very strong opinions on how we have to do this. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Ludwig. Thank you for your overview of affordable housing. Appreciate that. I do have to say that young adults, at this point in time when they start off, they, in my opinion, do not look to purchase a one-bedroom house. They look to start off small and then think a little bigger. But we can get into that after, if I'm still here along with you. Okay. All right, good. All right, we're going to move onward to Item 10, General Government and Finance Subcommittee, recommendation for an independent review on the revalve. I'm just going to give this to Deputy Mayor Scala.
Thank you. I know it's later on the agenda, but just to give a brief overview, General Government met again. General Government is Councilor Santinella, Councilor Ludwig, and myself. We scheduled another meeting just about 2 weeks past our other meeting, just to try to do some more work on this. And we were able to come up with one additional recommendation that was unanimous in the subcommittee, so a bipartisan effort. And this one is a policy to help the nonprofits. So I hope that people are in favor, and we can get into a discussion if we need to once it comes on the agenda. It seems like a no-brainer to me because it's a policy regarding them getting notification and the assumption that nonprofits stay in that program and stay a nonprofit. So that's about it. We had other stuff on the agenda as well, but this was our main focus, again, on the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to unfinished business. Item A will remain on the table. We tabled this at the last meeting to give the owner additional time to complete the tasks. I'm going to ask the town manager if there is an update on this information.
Yes, Mayor. Christy and I visited the site last Friday, and she spoke with the owner again this morning. And it's our opinion that we would like to forward to you that we are not in a position to pursue foreclosure at this time based on the fact that significant progress has been made. We would like to see that this be taken off the table, but still kept within the Blight Review Committee so that they can monitor it. I believe the summary that Christy prepared is attached, as well as the updated pictures. But significant progress has been made even since Mr. Collins was at the last meeting.
So we need a motion to remove it from the table?
Well,
Or you
is
just
there an
need to-
appetite for this or remain on the table?
You just leave it.
Well,
I don't think
You
we
can't. You can't.
It doesn't stay on the table, yeah.
So at this point, in 2 weeks, he's made more progress than he's made with Blight in 6 months. So why don't we give him another 2 more weeks, leave it on the table? What can it hurt? And then if he finishes cleaning it up, we remove it, and then Blight can negotiate some sort of a settlement as long as he keeps it clean.
okay, we're going to go to Councilor Santinella and Deputy Mayor Scala.
Yes, I just have a procedural question, whether it's through the mayor to the town, I'm sorry.
Sorry, don't we have to remove this from the table first to discuss? I don't think that's been done, right? Correct, so I think before your motion, I think someone has to actually make a motion to
Wow.
remove to discuss. In a second, then you can answer your
Okay,
question.
motion to remove from the
Second,
table.
yeah.
A motion has been made by Councilor Mangini and seconded by Councilor Ludwig. Councilor Santinella.
Okay. This is obviously my first term to be going over to a next term. Does everything stay on the council's agenda? Does this get wiped clean? So this would actually stay here for the next council to take up?
Well, per Robert's rules, it falls off of the table, but we would replace it under unfinished business for your future agenda.
Okay, so the next council will have, it will be on the agenda, they'll have an opportunity to address this. So I would, I agree with Councilor Nelson that it should stay here, and then it can then be referred back to Blight at some point to review and discuss the outstanding fines and how those would be addressed. And then Blight can then refer back to the council. I know that sounds like a lot of bureaucracy, but I think that's the cleanest way to do this, rather than to kind of keep it here for discussion and debate about ultimately what to do with the liens. Thank you.
If he finishes cleaning up.
Deputy Mayor Scala.
No, my question was procedural, almost.
So this will remain on the table. Okay.
Motion
so
to
that-
put it back
okay,
on the
Now, can I have a motion? Do I have a motion to table?
Motion to put it back on the table.
To
Second.
put it back on. Councilor Santinella, and second by Councilor Ungary. All in favor? Unanimous. Next, Higgins Park Value Engineering Proposal to complete the parking lot improvements. Once again, this was also tabled at our last meeting, and once again, according to Robert's Rules of Order, tabled items need to be held over to the next meeting agenda, which is why Higgins is here again tonight. Okay, so is there any change of heart in regard to this particular proposal? Once again, we have to
Make a motion to remove from the
make a
table?
motion
Or it
to
just stays on the
remove.
table and we move on.
Second.
Well,
You want to talk about it?
No, I think in light of the new information, Public Works can discuss it, and if we can save $50,000 on it and try to get this paved before Thanksgiving, I think that would be a plus, because during leadership Wednesday, and Bob, you were there was almost a fist fight that broke out in the hallway because of probate court. And Steve went out, and I expected him to come back all beat up, but he held his own out there. But I understand why the town is so anxious to get them moved out of the building and closer to the police substation. So if we can try to address that at the next public safety DPW meeting, I don't know when that
well,
is.
it'll be soon.
After?
Yeah.
I think it'll be after.
It'll be after, but
All right.
but I definitely want to meet with Mr. Nasuda in regard to that.
Okay.
So
Motion to table?
motion to keep this tabled. Counselor Nelson is second by Counselor Santinella. All in favor? Unanimous. For the next three items, C, D, and E,
I make a
I will
motion.
be asking for a motion to remove all of these off the agenda. Just want to give a little background, because John Daig did attend the grant webinar last week, and his recommendation is for both us and the BOE to revisit the grant next year when we have more information on the requirements.
Motion to remove C, D, and E from the agenda.
Counselor Nelson is second by Counselor Ungary. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda, there are two items on the consent agenda. Does anyone need to remove any of these? And if not, is there a motion to approve? Counselor Nelson, and a second by Deputy Mayor Sakala. All in favor, raise your hand. And once again, unanimous. Moving onward to 12B, Town Council appointments. There are none. We will now go to item C, request for a transfer of funds for the Connecticut Volkswagen ZEV Infrastructure Grant Program for $115,951.71 and the Eversource Energy Grant for $80,000. Be it resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfer is hereby made from grant-funded projects revenue, the DEP grant of $115,951.71, and the grant-funded project revenue Eversource grant of $80,000 to the electric vehicle charge station equipment, and that would total $195,951.71. Date prepared by Donald T. Nunes, Director of Public Works. Councilor Mangini.
Second.
And a second by Deputy Mayor Sakala. Is there any discussion on this? Councilor Pisner.
So to the mayor, to the town manager, so these charging stations, these are going to be for public use or for town vehicles?
They're in 4 different locations, and I would anticipate the ones here would be mostly for our use, although the public do hook up to them. They'd be at the library, I think the annex, and I think Public Works garage specifically, so that would be for our use. But no, anybody can really hook up to use them if they're available.
So am I reading this correctly where it says that we can't charge for 5 years. So who's going to pay that electric bill for people that are charging their cars?
That would be us, and that's why we included the kilowatt cost.
Okay. So the taxpayers would pay to have somebody who has an electric car charge their car.
At the terms of the grant, yes, for 5 years, and then we charge after that.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Sheila, roll call.
Counselor Santinella? Counselor Ungary?
Against?
Deputy Mayor Sakala?
For.
Mayor Crisati?
4.
Counselor Counselor Ledwick?
Against.
And I missed Counselor Finger. Sorry, Counselor Finger.
That's fine. Against.
Counselor Mangini?
For.
Counselor Nelson?
Against.
And Counselor Pisner.
Against.
So that is 3 in favor and 6 against.
Okay, item D, request for a transfer of funds for the restoration of the South Road sinkhole for $182,000. Be it resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfer is hereby made from general fund balance, appropriated fund balance of $182,000 to non-departmental charges, transfer out and contingency, transfers to capital, $182,000 from the capital and non-recurring fund, the CNR fund revenue for the fiscal year 23-24 revenue, general fund transfers in of $182,000 to the drainage erosion control construction services of $182,000. Date prepared 10/12/2023, prepared by Donald T. Nunes, Director of Public Works.
So moved.
Councilor Mangini and second by Councilor Nelson. Any discussion on this? Councilor Sledwick.
Real quick through the mayor, town manager. The work is done, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Just one more.
Councilor Nelson.
Through the mayor to the town manager, is this the final bill? Because I know the sewer line they rolled in, this is it, and it's 100% fixed.
Yes, it looks great if you've gone by. It's been cleared and graded.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sheila, roll call.
Counselor Santinella?
4.
Counselor Ungary?
For.
Deputy Mayor Sakala?
For.
Mayor Crisati?
4.
Counselor Finger?
4.
Counselor Ledwick?
4.
Counselor Mangini?
For.
Counselor Nelson?
4.
And Counselor Pisner?
For.
9 in favor, none against.
Item E, the resolution dealing with the recommendations, and there's only one from the independent review of 2021 revaluation. And now therefore be resolved that the town council endorse the additional recommendation concerning nonprofits in the quadrennial reporting from the General Government and Finance Committee, date prepared 10/12/2023, prepared by Ellen Zapusasu, the town manager.
So moved.
And once again, this is to create a policy concerning the notification of organizations that are at risk of losing their tax exempt status during the quadrennial reporting period, with the assumption that they are to stay in that program. Councilor Mangini, and a second by Deputy Mayor Sakala. I think we had some discussion before. I'll open it up again. Councilor Nelson.
Through the mayor to the town attorney, can you tell me if the state statute determines whether he has to follow this or not? Or is it up to his discretion?
My off-the-cuff response is that the council can create a policy, and as long as it doesn't conflict with state law, it's providing guidance to the assessor.
It's guidance, but he doesn't have to follow it, because his own words are, we don't control the assessor, the state of Connecticut does.
Well, I can't envision a scenario where, first of all, I haven't seen the policy. This is a policy directive. So the council, when it, assuming it approves this, when they craft a policy, they'd have to be mindful that it doesn't conflict with any statutory mandates that vest discretion with the assessor. So that's something that could be addressed as the policy is crafted.
So again, we're being asked to approve a policy that's not in front of us You can't even give us legal advice on it because you don't have it in front of you either. And you guys want to move forward with a vote. So I am a no on this again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Mangini.
Okay, so maybe I'm misunderstanding, but this says that the town council will create a policy, and to our town attorney's point, at that juncture, town council would review to make sure there is no conflict with the state of Connecticut. Am I correct?
Absolutely, we would.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Santinella.
Yeah. So I'm not happy with what I'm hearing, and I don't care what side of this argument you're on. I have been of the opinion that the buck stops right here. And if we're going to make policy and people are going to just say, it doesn't matter what we say, I have a real problem with that. And, you know, we've been having people thumb their nose at us way too long. All of us. And quite frankly, it's our last meeting, and we're not going to do it again. I'm not voting for this until we can get our act together and get a group of people up here who can tell people out there who the hell's in charge. It's us right here. And I'm not voting for this, and you can put it on the table, but I spent way too much time on this issue, and I'm not happy about what I'm hearing here.
Is there any other discussion? Councilor, Deputy Mayor Scarlett.
So here's the frustrating part is, well, this is extremely frustrating in general. We hire an outside firm to do all of this work because nobody's going to listen to us. And then we decide we don't want to listen to some people don't want to listen to that firm. And then this subcommittee works really hard and really well together to come up with some of these recommendations. And to be honest, the fact that it's not going to pass tonight is politics. It is the opposite of progress, and that is infuriating. We're trying to pass a policy that nonprofits presumptively stay nonprofits. It is baffling that we wouldn't want to support that, because half of the issue when we went through this assessor and BAA issue is that nonprofits were taken out of that exempt status. And everybody up here was up in arms about it. But now we don't want to pass a policy to say that they're going to presumptively stay in there? It's insane. People voted against the same thing for 490 tax status. We worked really hard. People were all up in arms that farmers weren't treated correctly, and we wanted to make sure they maintain their 490 status. People up here voted against that recommendation. Why? Politics. That's why. I won't swear, so Ms. Price won't yell at me, but it is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. This is progress that we're trying to make here. And politics is getting in the way.
Councilor Nelson.
Politics has nothing to do with it when you don't bring in the two people that you're making these decisions for.
They don't make the decisions. We do.
No, we don't. The state of Connecticut regulates the assessor, not the town council. And when you don't ask the assessor his opinion or the BAA their opinion on these, we are not the ones that set the policy against them. Are you at the BAA's meetings? Do you give people a pass or fail? Do you know why they're recorded or why they're not recorded? I'm not out of order. I'm answering the question, Cindy.
He has the floor.
Excuse me.
Okay, so it's not politics. It's politics to make people believe that you have the authority to pass a 490 resolution, hand it to an assessor that has no ability to follow our rules at all. He doesn't want to, and he said it straight out. John Santinella is correct. Until we can resolve this, we should table this and come up with a solution where everybody can agree with. Because right now, he don't agree. You're setting a policy against him that he doesn't have to follow. So that's politics when you're trying to make them believe that it is. Thank you.
Enough.
Maybe I can.
Okay, excuse me. Doug, in 1 second.
Maybe I can shed some light here on policy versus state statute. I certainly agree with Attorney Talberg that whatever policy we set cannot contravene state statute. For example, we can have our own minimum wage, but when state raises the minimum wage, we have to follow it. That's the state law. But I've terminated many people here who violated policies, attendance policy, sick policies. These are our own policies, regardless of what the state statute is. We've terminated many people who do not follow policy. Policy is written by you, implemented by us, and we have terminated people. I can't emphasize that enough. I can come up with so many examples of people we've terminated because they did not follow policy.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Finger.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, but I didn't hear a lot what Councilor Santinella said because his face and voice got freezing up. Is there any chance I can hear the beginning of what he said? I caught the ending, but not the beginning. And I apologize for that, but it's this teamwork thing I'm on. With Councilor Santinella, please, wouldn't mind just repeating what he said, if that's okay, please, so I can think about what I want to vote on. Thank you.
I mean, honestly,
Ditto, just say
Councilor
ditto.
Finger,
Ditto.
I honestly, Councilor Ludwig's suggestion of rewinding YouTube and playing it back is probably better because I'm honestly not exactly sure what I said. However, I think the gist of it was that, we have, I don't disagree with the deputy mayor. I will say for people here and for people who are watching, the three of us have worked very well together, and tried to do what's best for the community in a difficult situation. I don't think we have the support to pass this right now. I think in principle, it is the right direction, but I'm also very concerned that here we are sitting here hearing that we're making policy that is just not being enforced, and that's a problem. And so, I would be happy to table this and write the policy and approve the policy, and therefore we'll have the policy to approve as a council. That's fine. But I assure you that, this is something that the deputy mayor and Councilor Ludwig and I really think that the council needs to adopt. We don't want people being taken out of this, but we need to be clear that what we're doing here is going to actually end up in the result that we want. So I would be happy to put it back on the table and come back and revise the policy. There is nothing, I don't want anybody to think that I don't think we shouldn't be helping nonprofits. That's not the goal here. Okay? That is the goal. And I just don't think we have the support to pass this tonight anyways.
All right.
Thank you, Councilor Santinella. So, Mayor, I'd like to propose the table this motion, this resolution tonight.
Just hold on here.
I think a motion to table stops
One
discussion.
of the things that we're going to do right now is that we're going to have a motion to table. We've discussed this. We're going to be moving forward. Everybody that has been on this particular committee, the three of you have done a very good job. We don't have the votes at this point in time. I'm going to accept a motion to table this. Councilor Mangini and Councilor Finger. Thank you.
Can we speak on the motion to table?
There's no debate with the
no.
motion to table.
All right.
No, we're gonna vote. All in favor of tabling? Raise your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and against tabling. Okay, so we have Doug. What was your hand up, Doug?
Mine was for tabling.
Okay, so 7-2 in favor. All right, moving onward to item F. Item F is the resolution referring the potential purchase of open space. And once again, within our packet, we have some communication from Bill Cody, the chairman of the Enfield Conservation Commission. And be it resolved that the town council refer the matter of potential acquisition of open space along the Scannick River to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a Section 8-24 referral and to the town attorney for the potential negotiation of a purchase price. Date prepared 10/12/2023, prepared by Ellen Zapusasu, the town manager.
So moved.
Councilor Mangini,
Second.
and a second by Councilor Ungary. Is there any discussion on this? Councilor Ludwig.
Just through the mayor, town manager, just the process, so we refer this to back to conservation? Or, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I follow the process here.
No, we're referring it to the town attorney's office.
So that they could help negotiate the price.
Right, and has the Conservation Commission signed off on this already?
Yes, they have.
They have, so
Yes.
that letter
I'm
means they
sorry.
signed off?
Yes, they have. And then we would, I would suggest, once the town attorney has the
Yep.
opportunity to review, then we go to Section 8-24, because if we don't
Got
like the
it,
price,
okay, yeah,
we
thank you.
don't need to go.
Appreciate it. No, I mean, in my opinion, this is great news. So again, I guess some people listen to our ordinances and not all, I guess, so here's a good one, they're listening. And again, open space, especially along the Scannick River, fantastic. So again, the fact that we were able to get this done when we did in the summer, and this is good news. So I mean, I understand a lot of folks get gray area and stuff, but again, thank the Conservation Commission for this as well. I mean, this is good stuff. We're saving prime open space land, and hopefully we can negotiate a fair price for the taxpayer. So thank you.
Sheila, roll call.
Counselor Santinella,
4.
Counselor Ungary,
4.
Deputy Mayor Sakala,
4.
Mayor Corsati,
4.
Counselor Finger,
4.
Counselor Ludwig,
4.
Counselor Mangini,
4.
Counselor Nelson,
4.
and Counselor Pisner.
4.
9 in favor, none against.
Okay, item G, the resolution to vacate current building official job description and create the new chief building official job description. I will read this, but I'm going to be actually, let me direct it to you right now, Steve, the assistant town manager, to provide an overview of
Sure.
what we're going to be doing here.
Thank you. Very seldom do I come to you to try to change a job description to save a person from leaving employment with the town of Enfield. I think the last person I did this was with the Deputy Chief, Steve Kozlowskis. Recognizing that there's a dearth of building officials in the state of Connecticut, and recognizing that the building official that works for us is just recently recognized by his peers, receiving the Presidential Award, being recognized as one of the best building officials in the state of Connecticut. I'm grateful that he came to Ellen and myself a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, I wasn't even looking, but the state of Connecticut gave me this offer that's hard to ignore. We told him, just pump the brakes, let's go to council, plead with them. Hopefully they give us the authority to do what we need to do to change the job description and make a slight adjustment in pay to retain them and keep them here, because it's that dire out there. I talked to my colleagues last week from other municipalities. They're scrambling. There's only a certain defined number of building officials in the state of Connecticut. You can go to the website and look up how many people have the license. And the fact that we have a fully staffed department, because not only is he good, but people want to work for him. I've been here almost 14 years in February, and prior to Ray coming back, I've seen what it was like to not have a building official that was user-friendly with the contractors coming to town. We don't have those complaints anymore. And I know some of you may have had experience in working with this gentleman. So I'm here before you, pleading with you to give me the authorization to have this job description and retain a very qualified building official.
Okay, thank you, Steve. And the resolution, be it resolved that the Enfield Town Council does hereby approve the new chief building official job description and wage adjustment. Date prepared 10/12/2023, prepared by Stephen Belinda, Assistant Town Manager.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Mangini, and second by Councilor Nelson. Any further discussion on this after we've heard the Assistant Town Manager give a nice explanation. Councilor
Madam Mayor,
Ludwig.
this is Tom. Again, thank you for having the job description. I appreciate it. Again, this is exactly how I can make a decision. So it's really important, and I appreciate you putting it in here. And I agree with you on this one. But again, I appreciate
All
you
right.
putting it in here. It makes a difference. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Sheila, roll call.
Counselor Santinella?
4.
Counselor Ungary?
4.
Deputy Mayor Sakala?
4.
Mayor Corsati?
4.
Counselor Finger?
4.
Counselor Ludwig?
4.
Counselor Mangini?
4.
Counselor Nelson?
4.
And Counselor Pisner?
4.
9 in favor, none against.
Okay, moving on to back to public communications. Remember, this time we have 3 minutes to address the council. Same rules apply to what I stated at the beginning of the meeting in terms of statements directed at us. Yeah.
Might not like what I say.
Nikki Price, 1324 Enfield Street. I like to address something that the town manager put in her presentation about affordable housing and saying that you need to look forward to because of the state statute that was passed with zoning. Now, I learned something with the Felician sisters the first time around, and it was regarding, I was waiting for them to sue the town of Enfield because of the plan didn't get passed. But what I found out was a good developer would not sue a town such as Enfield because we go over the maximum of what they say what a town should have for a percentage of low-income housing. In other words, the state is 10.5. Well, guess what? We're like at 16%, so we're fine with that. Now, okay, now with the regarding, because she said that on the pipeline, the Felician sisters are coming down with their 45 housing. Well, HUD announcement was the awarding of fund. It wasn't for the allocation of funding because now they're in their grant fine tuning of their process of getting the funds to them. I was surprised when I found out that they were awarded, so I did some homework. With HUD, you have to have your zoning approval approved first in the town, and second of all, there has to have the neighborhoods 100% participation that they agree with this. So I just want to let you know that the funding is an awarded stage. It's not allocated. And I guess what I want to say is I agree with Deputy Mayor Sankala about the policy. I think what you should do is, the problem with this was from the beginning that the town manager should have taken this person and follow the rules and write them up when they were disobeying the, I guess, or not following state statutes. But if he's saying that he's not going to follow policy, I believe that is a thing that could be written up and build a case so this way this person can be dismissed. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Robert Bukowski, 21 Francis. 3 things. Let me see. Firing teachers. That was just the name of my program. But number 2 would be the housing thing. That was a Strand Theater project we're all talking about, I think. And then number 3, Attorney Talberg, any word, any research done on the entertainment thing with planning and zoning, what's required, what's not required, full entertainment, do they have to wait for court? And then that was the thing that just came to me. But anyway, everybody knows you can't fire a teacher. There's binding arbitration. That was the name of my program. Everybody stopped at that word. But the deal was, and right after that I said, do the retire a teacher, hire a cop because you could avoid the layoffs. But everybody was crazy before that. So anyway, the deal is to capture some funding from the $72 million teacher budget and put it towards the public safety budget where it's very well needed for things like Francis Avenue and other places. So everybody knows you can't fire a teacher. They have binding arbitration. And if you could fire teachers, they would, because on another meeting, I'll be talking about the very, very low math scores statewide and the fact that I've never heard the superintendent or the BOE or any teacher come up here and talk about anything other than funding. They just talk about funding. They never talk, do we even teach calculus, algebra, physics anymore? Because the only thing teachers talk about is funding. So that'll be left for another day. Now, as far as the housing thing goes, this new project, will they be a Section 8 housing? Will they accept Section 8 housing? And there's two types of Section 8 housing. There's the conventional one, the older one, where the state paid the actual housing complex the money on behalf of the residents. The new one is a sneaky one. It's a voucher program. I don't know how new it is, maybe 10 years old, I don't know, where the person that qualifies for it gets their voucher from the state. They can live anywhere. So these income requirements, 40,000, 60,000, et cetera, do the Section 8 vouchers apply to that? So look, we all know, starting with Obama, we all know Obama wants to kill single-family housing. Obama wants to blend the cities and the suburbs. All of these housing projects have the intention of putting multifamily housing everywhere they possibly can on every street in the country if they could. So I don't know what you mean by low-income housing. I don't know if vouchers apply to this.
Thank you.
And there we have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Tom Walsh from Zan Street. I stand corrected. Next time I will do my research and not listen to what somebody else tells me about the storage. But, okay, so this up here, when you guys were talking about Francis Street, proves my point about how this really doesn't work. Because in a month, some of you may be gone. And new people will come in with their own ideas and opinions and everything. And these guys on Francis Street may be out in the cold again. I've been reading this in the paper for a while with all this. So this is why I say, I mean, I have my opinions on this because I just don't think this works. But anyways, that's proves my point, because when you guys leave, all that may go to the side for a while the new people work on their stuff. Hopefully some of you are still here, but. And then the other thing, the town manager said this property's been permitted since 2018. Now, these permits transfer to another person? I mean, if I take a permit on my house, does that transfer to somebody else? And then the other thing is, these I don't see anything being done there in this is 5-year-old permits. Have they even stuck a shovel in the ground on that property? How's the permit still good after 5 years? I thought it was 6 months. If there's no progress in 6 months, the permit goes dead. And then the other thing, to the affordable housing, you know, I guess times have changed. When we were kids, or when we were younger, you know, if you couldn't afford an apartment, you got together with a couple people and you rented an apartment. As a matter of fact, first place I lived was in a basement of a townhouse in Mill Pond with a bunch of guys. So, I mean, we already have plenty of apartments in town, and my biggest beef about apartments is if you take a 3-family house that's worth $300,000, got 3 families in it using services from the town, and you take a house in the southern end of Enfield worth $300,000 with 1 family in it, they ain't paying into the budget. It's not fair. You got a house, it's going by the price of the house. There should be some kind of if it's a business property, there should be some kind of a tax on each unit. And I know some of you are in the real estate business and don't like that, but the thing is, okay, if I got a $300,000 house and paying whatever on it, what is it, $6,500, $7,000, whatever. Now you got 3 families in a 3-family house, still paying you only $700,000. Hell, they got how many garbage cans out there that the town's picking up, and whatever other services they're using that probably the person in the single family may not be using, okay? So I think there's more of a burden with all these, and we got plenty of apartments in Enfield, you know? And the reason why I know this is because I did battle in East Hartford when I had a house there. Again? Okay.
Is there anybody else that would like to approach the council this evening?
Good evening. My name is Liz Davis, and I reside at 201 North Maple Street. I was sitting home watching a town council meeting. I thought I'd take a drive over. First off, I just want to say my opinion on something that has been bothering me now for a little bit. I feel people want to say politics, and who's playing politics. I mean, it's easy enough to see. Look at an individual. When someone passes away, let them rest in peace. If you have to keep pulling their name up, using their name to try to sway a vote, then come on, who's playing politics? It's so disturbing, unethical. It's just heart-wrenching, and to see stuff like that, and I'm sure the people know who they are. Another thing I was taught way back when I sat up there, when they said that you wanted the truth. And they said, Liz, you want to find the truth, follow the money. I want to thank the town manager for this tax assessment, because the people complaining, that individual taught me right. When you start looking, follow the money of how much taxes they have saved. Why, I was still paying, I'm one of those $300,000 homes, and I'm paying over $8,000. But also with that, I'm okay with having homes that have 3 apartments. I'm fortunate I can afford my home. Well, you know, my children coming out with college and all the college, they can't get a house with these prices and loans. They just can't. And the way the world's going, they don't need to be sharing homes with strangers anymore. Give me a break. Really? So I'm kind of happy with this assessor. I mean, the truth is all coming out. People are paying what they have to pay. If they show proof, they get their assessment lowered. I mean, the chaos that it caused. And another thing that just bothers me is targeting the town employees and a town manager that's just doing the job you're hired to do. I am baffled that this is what a town that I'm born and raised in, that I beyond love, has come to. I think I'm going to close because I know it's going to beep. 24-year combat veteran. And I'm going to let everybody know, you need to vote row A to save our democracy, and you need to vote row A right across the board to save our education system. As you can see where row B stands, against our education, against our community. It didn't beep yet. Oh, I'm going to have to turn back. Oh, I'm a resident. So I would like to say good luck to everybody at the next election. Thank you so much for all that all of you guys do. God bless you all. Have a nice evening.
Would you indulge me for a second time real quick?
No.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. For the past 2 years, I have had the privilege of sitting up here as a counselor. And it has been an honor to sit with this council. I know we don't always agree. And I know some of our conversations have got quite heated. But I think, really honestly, that it's because each of us do care about our town. and we thought we were doing right for our constituents. I don't think one of us sits up here because we're trying to make bad choices. But I think one thing that all of us can agree on is that every election is important, and every vote counts. It is your voice. So I am just encouraging everyone to come out on November 7th and vote. Just vote, and let us hear your voice. And I thank us all for the commitment that we have all put forward. So come see us at the polls. We'll all be standing there, and we'll be looking for you. Thank you.
Councilor Nelson.
Okay, through the mayor to the assistant town manager. You had stated that you fired a lot of people for not following policies that this council has put forward. The council put forward a policy 2 weeks ago, and 3 days later and 5 days after that, he didn't follow it. So I assume that position's vacant now? You guys approved it Monday night, and Wednesday he was doing the total opposite of what you approved, and Thursday too. He had to make appointments.
That's not what the policy says, and that just proves you don't read your packet, Ken.
Okay. Okay, and Tom, when P&Z approves a project, it's not like a building permit. A building permit expires if you don't start work on it within so much time. Planning and zoning, you have 12 months to file the approval on the land records. Once it's filed, it's set until somebody changes it. It goes with the land. That's the difference between the two. I think you were thinking building permit, which would have expired. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, do I have, is that your hand up, Doug Finger? Yeah. Councilor Finger?
Thank you, Mayor. One thing I think someone forgot was October 4th, some of us attended the kite meeting. I didn't hear it tonight from anybody. If I did, because of this, I apologize, but we had Mayor Crissati there, Councilor Mangini, myself, Councilor Ungwire, and I'm sorry if I missed, there's some Board of Education members there, Board of Education member Josh and Jean. And again, I apologize if I missed anybody, but we did have a good time, and it was really good food. And the mayor gave his speech and his proclamation, and I just want to make sure that everybody knows that kite is a very important resource for this town, and we have to make sure that we continue looking at it and funding it. Thank you.
Once again, good evening, everyone. See you at the polls. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Councilor Mangini, second by Councilor Ungar. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you and good night, everyone.